Hello and welcome along to Clare FM's Sideline View Review. Derry Clinch with you for the next hour. Coming up, we reflect on Clare's National Hurling League win over Wexford. We'll preview the Clare chances and more at this year's Cheltenham Festival. We'll review the weekend's local soccer action, look ahead to Spanish Point's All-Ireland Ladies Football semi-final, and wrap up another busy weekend of local handball action. Hurling, though, is the first port of call as Clare held off a late rally from Wexford to make it a sixth straight victory of the Division 1B campaign, with the final against Dublin now likely to materialise on the Easter bank holiday weekend. The 26 points to 120 victory over the model county was notable for the performances of a number of emerging banner stars, with the likes of Diarmuid Stritch, Jack O'Neill, Sean Rinn, Niall Farrell, Ronan Kilroy and Mark Sheedy chief among them. After the game, I spoke with Clare selector Tommy Corbett. Slightly joined here by Clare selector Tommy Corbett. Tommy, a fair old battle in the end, quintessential game at two halves?
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't expect anything less, Derek, I suppose, really, in that the last three times Wexford came to Cusack Park to turn us over. So we were acutely aware of the threat that they were going to bring, and thought we played very well in patches, and then we've a lot to work on, obviously.
Yeah, first half though seemed like the dominant team, and it felt like a game that you could almost kick out a side from.
Yeah, and I think the breeze probably had a little bit of a factor. I know it was mainly a crossfield, but it was kind of going down into that corner, and we kind of seemed to adjust to it pretty well, and a lot of the stuff we were doing was coming off. Probably half time probably came a little bit too soon for us. The loss of Adam was obviously acute, as was Diarmuid Stritch, so we had to change things around. But yeah, listen, delighted overall to get the result. We're into the final now against probably Dublin, so yeah, looking forward to that.
You mentioned the fella that came off at half time, but what a first half he had, Diarmuid Stritch.
Yeah, Diarmuid was fantastic, yeah, absolutely. Great lad, in training, outside of training, in matches, so had a great first half, was really motoring well. Just had a little bit of a niggle, so it's more precautionary rather than anything else, so hopefully he should be okay for 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, bigger days ahead, as you mentioned, back here in the park again against Waterford. But the second half, when the goal came for them, it kind of felt like a period where we had lulled a small bit.
Yeah, a little bit, and we were very unlucky not to get a goal ourselves. Keith did really well, did everything right. It was just a fantastic save by Mark Fanning. Goal, yeah, in fairness to them, they were kind of on top at the time, so they probably deserved the goal, maybe, you know what I mean, given the way they were playing. We kind of lost a little bit of shape, but but listen, Wexford are a good team. They've come through a lot of battles now in this league from the very first day out against Antrim all through, so we knew that they were going to come back at us. We knew that the game wasn't over or even half over at half time, so we expected that. But listen, we're delighted with the way our lads responded, and to get out of here with a win was great. Is it most pleasing that response came minus a couple of the big names that would normally drag you up from the bootstraps? Yeah, absolutely. But listen, we've 36 or 38 of the panel, so it's up to each and every one of them to they all know their job, so when they get their chance, it's up to them to take it. I think a lot of the lads put their hand up today, which is great. We've some great displays, so yeah, I think they all know their job, and they're all really chomping at the bit, and they're all training really hard. So yeah, it was great. It was great, the response we got after the goal. I think we went 5 or 6 points up again. Probably lapsed a little bit then the last 5 minutes, but overall it was great. A couple of weeks off now. It's been a fairly attritional few weeks, and you've seen a lot of tarmac along the road around the country, so a bit of downtime maybe? Wouldn't say there's ever any downtime now in this job, Derek, but actually we've been to some lovely places up to Antrim and Kildare and Carlow, and yeah, it's been grand to be staying at home now for the next couple of weeks, I suppose. All right, yeah. But what another big date now, like silverware is never to be sniffed at. No, absolutely. Don't know where it's going to be at. I presume it's going to be a neutral venue somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be a double header with Division 1A, but yeah, we'll find out in time. I presume, as I said, it's Dublin. So yeah, we'll wait and see. So yeah, absolutely, we're in a final. It'll be good preparation for the Waterford game in 6 weeks' time. So yeah, really looking forward to that now. Well, so there you heard the views of Clare selector Tommy Corbett after the game against Wexford. Delighted to have a man that wore the saffron and blue for many years between the sticks for the banner, and indeed for Whitegate as well, in those famed hooped jerseys. It's Andy Fahy that's with us in studio to have a little look back on both the game, Andy, and I suppose the league in total as to what you've made of it. We'll start with that game against Wexford. I heard a number of people coming out of Páirc Uí Chaoimh saying that it was harmless enough. Interesting more than exciting was another good phrase I thought that summed it up. I suppose for Clare it was a difficult one, not so much a dead rubber in terms of lads trying to put their hands up, but knowing that you were safe and sound no matter what.
Yeah, I think that was the overriding fact. But I suppose those games can often be dangerous as well, Derek. You know, when one team has an awful lot to play for. I suppose Wexford coming up the road, especially after last year, I'd say Brian and the lads would have been very aware, you know, that we need to get minutes into lads, but at the same time, you know, these lads did a number on us here last year, and you could see that Clare from the outset, like they look very comfortable, a wide spread of scores, a lot of scores from play. So I think they'd be very, very happy with what they had. And I suppose the big thing is you do have to get minutes in, but you saw an awful lot of lads getting a chance there today too, which I saw an interview from Brian there. I think he said, look, we need to find new players, and you know, he most definitely has stuck to his word in that campaign. So I think they'll be very, very happy. Look, any day you score 26 points, it's very, very healthy. And look at, of course, with Wexford having maybe a little bit more to play for, they were always going to come strong to the very finish, and to their credit they did.
Talking about the goal side of things, a couple of brilliant saves there from Mark Sheedy. Could do nothing about the goal itself. It was a fair bullet now. Yeah,
look, at delighted for Mark. You know, it was his first day out, and you know, he equipped himself well. He's a young player learning his trade, and you know, not many bigger players than Lee Chin bearing down on you coming down the stretch of the match, and he stood tall to it. And you know, look, at really, really happy for him, and you know, delighted to see him getting his chance.
Will Brian be most pleased about the fact that when that goal came and Wexford brought it back to 3? You got a bit of a reaction then from out the field, like no Tony, no Shane. You know, there was a lot of players you'd be saying that would have been the ones that would grab it by the scruff of the neck, but it was the Kilroys, the likes of Niall O'Farrell and these lads. They kind of found the response.
Yeah, and I thought it's interesting straight after half time as well, Derek. You know, when especially when Wexford came back, they got the first 3 scores to get the game back, and next thing, to Clare's credit, the exact same thing, they got the next 3 scores after that. So this was when they got it back to 3, we shoved it back out to 5. It was Clare found a way to just pitch on a point or win a free at a crucial stage, and you know, for young players they showed a lot of experience in those areas too, and you know, put it with the likes of Peter with some really, really good free taking today as well on a difficult day for frees. You know, the wind was blowing, it was very, very strong, you could see that from both ends, and like Peter Duggan, probably one of the best strikers of the ball, and he having to give it full force from nearly the middle of the field, so you can that gave a huge indication of how strong that breeze was today.
Defensively, didn't give up a whole pile in terms of goal chances, other than we'd say Mark, I know, pulled off a couple of saves, but it felt like they were always in control.
Yeah, that's it. And I suppose the pleasing thing is that you could see the other half of the field was working really, really hard. Wexford were having to go lateral quite a bit and backwards quite a bit, and maybe forced to take the odd shot from outside. So on the inside line, I think you know, Brian will be very, very happy with that. And Conor Lean grew into the game as it went on and on. You know, I suppose their lead forward Simon Roach, he gave a great display wherever he was. He played some at centre forward, he played some on the inside line, and he just took his chances really well. So I think getting minutes into good to see Adam Hogan back as well, and you know, building up for the championship really now in a couple of weeks' time.
And I know he came off at half time, Adam, so we're hoping that's nothing too major. The Dermot Stritch one, I'm told it was just precautionary as much as anything. He just felt something and it wasn't worth risking it when there was nothing really on the line. But his first half performance at centre forward, I think, excited a lot of people.
Yeah, look, he gave great front foot support, 3 points from play, possibly unlucky, tried to slip I think it was a chain me and through for a goal, it just went wrong, and the Wexford defence scrambled it back. But Dermot is a really exciting player, and you know, he lives the inter-county lifestyle really, really well, and he really wants it. So just really good to go out and see likes of him just expressing himself and showing what he can do.
6 forwards for Clare for the championship is going to be hard picked, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and look at it's a great headache for the lads, because you can see, you know, when Clare won the All-Ireland and obviously Limerick with their team, you know, they're looking at 20 bodies consistently. That's what you're looking for, and that's what Brian and the lads will be definitely looking for, and it's definitely better to have them at that end of the field than to be looking for them. And Clare definitely have a very healthy problem there. Please God, touch wood, that he can keep them all fit, and please God to be an exciting summer for them.
Lots of people wondering where will Colin Malone pitch up on a championship team. Like, he's been very, very good at wing back. He's given that go forward ball, he's driving, he's very accurate when he tries it from long range. And then you're looking at midfield for a partner for Ryan Taylor. Is Cahill the obvious answer there? Do we see him push back up, or how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, like I think for Cahill, I think he might get a number of roles this summer. I think that's the reason he possibly is at wing back, is that you can see that there's an awful lot of teams with really, really pacey wing forwards that, Clare are obviously going to be playing in the Munster Championship, and, toe for toe, Cahill Malone can go with any of those lads for legs, for experience, for tenaciousness. So I think there's a little piece in it where Cahill Malone may get the odd man marking job potentially this summer. That's how I would feel. The likes of a Shane Barrett, or one of those types of players playing on the half, Cahill Malone could get that detail. So you look at UC Keane Galvin togged out there again today, so he's obviously recovered from his injury. But yeah, look at it, Tony will play probably some of the time in the middle of the field, maybe in the half forward line. David Fitz obviously as well. So they have I suppose it's just about the combinations for them there, and possibly who they're playing against, Eric. I'd say what the lads are possibly looking at.
David McInerney not togged out despite being named at number 6. John Conlon comes in and does what John Conlon does, give a very, very good 55-60 minutes. So Brian, I think, is keeping us all guessing as to who's going to be in that 6 jersey come championship, is he?
Yeah, John, look at only John could come back from what had happened to him, and it's whatever about anything else, it's fantastic seeing back hurling, and I'm just so delighted to see him out there, because not playing would absolutely kill that man, but for if anyone was to get back, it was John Conlon, and great to see the new glove anyway working. It's a new trend. I think an awful lot of lads are going to be possibly using as well. Young players come and seeing that, but no, look, it's great to see him out there. And just what impressed me today, Derek, is he just hasn't lost how he reads the game. There was so many times he was able to double up with a ball coming into the inside line. He was able to get back and help his full back line. The real good stuff that we've seen John do over the last number of years for us. It was, that never left him anyway, which is great to see.
And it does, it seems to be a total sea change from the mood around the camp, and you've been in enough dressing rooms to know how that can be so fickle and change. But the mood that's there now compared to 12 months ago, we've referenced this a lot of times, but it's 6 wins from 6. And Brian has used the word attitude so many times in some of his post-match interviews with us. It could be hard going to Dr. Cullen Park on a wet night. It could be hard going 6 hours up the road to Cushendall. That takes a different mindset to say, look, it's not the job we're usually doing, but it's a job we have to do.
That's it. And sure, I wouldn't expect anything less of Brian. You see him as a player himself. It was the one word that he epitomised as a player, so you'd be definitely thinking that that's a baseline, that the attitude will always be there, and I wouldn't have doubted it wasn't there last year. It was just, lost possibly our way, a couple of injuries, and I think, funnily enough, the benefit maybe last year has had for us, going through that little bit of pain, maybe for a bit of long-term gain potentially this year. You saw some players maybe last year that might have struggled, and that's fine. But now this year is a new year. You played maybe the Division 1B, but you still played a very good Dublin side on day one. It was a great game. If it was on in the summer, you could see the pitch. What kind of a match would you have been possibly exposed to? So I think, unfortunately, while last year was disappointing for the lads, I think they're using a little bit of that as experience for some guys that can come into an experienced team, and you can see that they're building slowly, like Shane O'Donnell getting minutes in Antrim. We don't possibly see him all that early maybe some of the time, but I think that's more of a thing that I want to be playing. You just, at the way the game has gone now, you need to get minutes into lads, and I think that's what they'll all be looking for now over the next month anyway.
It was a little bit, I won't call it late, but not as early as usual going into Páirc Uí Chaoimh for the match, I have to say, on Sunday. But just going in ahead of me in the 2 blue gates was Shane O'Donnell with a gear bag. There was a training session or a running session, or there was someone roaring at him after the game anyway, so he's definitely back in contention. A 1B final, do we expect that now to maybe be a championship type team that's going to be picked? I know it's a couple of weeks away, obviously.
Yeah, I would think so, and I would think so, Derek. Yeah, because I suppose it's your last prep, I suppose, before championship, and I think whoever it is, maybe Dublin and Clare or Wexford and Clare, whoever it is, they'll be using that as final prep, I think, because they're possibly 3 weeks to the championship, as far as possibly. I'm thinking roughly. So I would definitely, you'd love to be a Clare hurler for the next month now, competing for that. And you can only imagine what the in-house games will look like now as the evening's getting a little bit longer, and more players coming back. You see more and more lads, or less and less lads on the sideline rehabbing now. That's coming down all of the time. So I think Brian and the lads have one of the healthiest headaches coming now, and I'd say it's going to be an interesting month picking that team, and as I said, touch wood, all of them can stay healthy.
Does it seem to be that there's almost three distinct brackets now within the squad, that you have your Tonys and your Shanes and these fellas, then you have a middle group, maybe the likes of a Shane Meehan, Sean Rinn, these lads that have been around trying to develop, and then Dermot Stritch, Kilroy, Niall O'Farrell. That's the kind of brackets, but the gaps between them are closing all the time.
Yeah, like I think, when I can only speak from experience, when you go in and you play with the more experienced lads, there's almost a sense of I don't want to let you down. There's that type of a thing there. But all of those lads that are supposedly in those brackets, they'll do everything they can to help you. It's a great feeling for a young player when you go in there. I don't think it's a daunting thing. Those lads, I know most of those lads, they'd be so humble, they would do anything to just elevate the thing. And I've no doubt for the likes of Ronan Kilroy, Dermot Stretch, what they're getting off the likes of David McInerney, Tony, John, would be nothing but you're one of us now. I know well the way that they'd be thinking, you're one of us, you're a link in the chain now and we're making it stronger. I'd have no doubt. So it's really, really exciting for young players going in there, I would believe.
The next couple of weeks, do we expect things to ramp up? Is this now the management's challenge to recognise that, okay, it's been an attritional campaign, there's a break week and then there's a bye week, so the tapering starts from now?
Yeah, look, I think Clare have always got their prep very, very well. I think we saw that over the consistency of the last number of years. They've been masters at it, and you can see every year that a Munster Championship passes, you can always hear in the winter time people saying Munster's going to be a bloodbath again this year. It's just the game, Derek. It's just getting faster and faster every year. That's what it is, and it's a credit to those lads. That I think what they'll do is I think they'll get it spot on. I think there'll be a little piece of it where we say, right, let's clear up the injury table. Some lads might need a break, some lads might need more hurling, and you've obviously got the Clare Cup starting up now as well in a couple of weeks' time, so maybe lads that are low on game time will get their minutes up there. So there's a lot of variables coming into play for them, but yeah, they look very, very fresh. So you'd imagine this league is now, for this 4-week period, is about just trying to increase the minutes for the lads that don't have it, and obviously just find that balance there with the older players as well.
Is there any concern about coming into it from 1B?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, I think you're going to get today's game was very, very tough. The first round was very, very tough. But you've got to do what you've got to do. It's a chance to blood players as well, and I think you're going to get a really good final. I make no mistake of it. Like whoever it is, either of those two teams, they're going to provide a serious challenge, and I think that's the beauty of it. And the other side of it is our lads should be fresh, please God, for the Munster Championship then as well.
And in between all that, then we've got minor and under 20 action. So the GA fans are certainly not going to be bored the next couple of weeks anyway.
No, look, and that's it. I suppose when March 1st hits, you just always say, I suppose, when you're a player, that the season really starts from now. So yeah, look, it's an exciting time, and yeah, the calendars are definitely getting busier now, and hopefully the evenings and the weather pick up a little bit as well, so please God.
Mighty stuff, and the build up to championship continues. Andy, thanks for that. We're back shortly here on Sideline View Review. Now we are on the eve of the I suppose Christmas for horse racing fans, as the Cheltenham Festival gets underway this week. One man that will know plenty about the runners and riders, particularly in a local sense, and indeed might have seen a couple of them across the point to point tracks as well, is Quinn's Ger Hannon. Delighted to have Ger with us to look ahead to it. Ger, I suppose it is a festival that has a bit of a banner flavour to it. There's certainly plenty local interest in this one.
Yeah, there is. I suppose one of the bankers of the week runs on Thursday. It's a Willie Mullins trained mare called Bambino Fever. She was a winner there last year. She won the champion bumper. The runners in behind her, you had No Drama at this end, El Carlos and Idaho's Son. Loads of horses that have gone on to a very good level. So her form at Cheltenham last year really sets her up for this year's race. She was actually beaten by the second favourite, Old School Outlaw, on her first run. But the last day she won. She did it in good style, and there's massive money for her in the last couple of days. She's runs there Thursday. I think she's into 5 to 4. Which is quite short. I don't know, would you back her 5 to 4 either? But I just think for Declan O'Connell and his father Niall and his mum Josephine back in Kilmurray McMahon, I know Anthony Daly, they're all involved in this from a support point of view. It's going to be very exciting, and I know that Niall and all that crew are heading over. It was great scenes in the winners' enclosure last year in Cheltenham, and I put up at a banker the few previews I did, and I hope we see the Clare flags in the number one spot again, because I think she's a very, very good mare.
Yeah, just to give him the little plug here, I know he'll appreciate it. Murty Brown's is open, I'm told, early enough on Thursday for the people to get really revved up by the time she takes the post. So that if you're around on Thursday, it mightn't be the worst place in the world to slip in to watch it.
Well, I'd say they'll be open late as well. I'd say we can probably say that as well. So we can advertise that more on Friday and Saturday. I'd say if the lads come home with the cup, hopefully there'll be big celebrations. It was great celebrations last year, so let's hope for the same. So then she actually beat. It was a 1-2 in the champion bumper last year. Heads Up was a horse of Darragh McDonough's below in Cratloe. So Heads Up, and he's come back to form. He lost his way, but come back to form. So he goes back this year. I'm not exactly sure. He's in one of the novice hurdles there. So he's going to have a big shout going back in that form. And then I suppose when you think about it, sure, Derek O'Connor, he's retained by JP McManus. He's going to have, there's actually only 2 amateur races now. They've changed the programme in Cheltenham. So there used to be 3. But I presume Derek will be. He's got the 2 market principals in the Kilmuir on Thursday with Jericho de Repene 4-1 for Nicky Henderson. He looks a high class horse. He's going to need a bit of Derek magic now. He's a bit of a rogue, I'd say, but it was a better man around to sneak a horse into the race and fill him with confidence. I think Derek, and if he doesn't choose to rise that horse, there's a horse of Waterford Whispers, Henry de Bromhead. He was placed in Cheltenham last year. He is good Cheltenham form, so I think jockey bookings will decide. But for me, I think Jericho de Repene for Derek. And then on the Friday in the Fox Hunters, I think he's actually been second in the 3 times in the same horse. It's on the line. He never runs a bad race. For Emmett Mullins, and I know he's a horse that Derek absolutely adores. So he shows up every year. And I'd say he'll be very much hoping that he can go one better than last year on It's on the Line. So that's a bit of the Clare representative. But then I suppose mentioned too as well, there's a couple of horses in here that were raised and produced in Clare, the Costello family. They have a couple of runners. We have a couple of runners ourselves. The horses might run, but the Costellos have a horse here called King Rasso Grey that ran on that will run in the Turners on the Wednesday, the first race on the Wednesday. He was just touched off in the Grade 1 in Leopardstown last year, and I think that horse will go very close. That's King Rasco Grey. He would have been sold by Tony and his son Thomas Costello there, Trinhouse Stable. So there's plenty Clare connections there. But you're at the top table, so you could be going there thinking you have a chance, but to actually turn it into one is, you know what I mean? It's just really special. That's why I always go back to, I think Declan O'Connell and the O'Connell family, they've struck gold. That's his first horse. So his first horse to go and win the champion bumper and go back as a short price for next year. It is probably beginner's luck, but it's a huge. It's just very special for them, you know.
Absolutely. He might be up around the Curragh, but Martin Brazel will always be of Newmarket and Fergus, of course, and he's got plenty of runners across the week, including in the Gold Cup. Fast or Slow, a horse that's well used to competing at the top level in what has been described by many as one of the most open Gold Cups of recent times.
Absolutely. Fast or Slow, sure. If you went back 2 years ago, himself and Galvin Shamster, the main ones, he had an unfortunate unseat. We had a Cheltenham preview night in Woodstock last Sunday, and JJ was on the panel, and he'll be riding him. And he said the ground in Cheltenham is drying out, so the better the ground there, the better the chance he has. And he really does have a squeak. But Martin Brazel actually has a good few chances this week. He's got Desert Moor House in the cross-country race. A lot of people are taking that up on the preview circuit. He's very well in, and I even spoke to Martin there a couple of months ago. I don't think you'll ever see a more natural horse. Horses have to adapt to that cross-country race, jumping banks, and you know, a lot of them, they're not just your standard hurdle or fence. A lot of them are kind of man-made fences and all that. But Desmond House looks an absolute natural at that, and Martin's an absolutely brilliant target trainer. And you know, when he puts one aside, and he is that horse put aside. For a long time, Desert Moor House. I think he's probably his best chance of the week. But he also has a horse in the champion bumper called It's Only a Game. It's for the Mulrine family. That's a horse that would catch your eye. He's 20-1, 25 in places. I would actually say that's a good each way bet, Martin's horse. I know he holds him in high regard. It's only again in the Champion Bumper on Wednesday evening.
And Panda Boy is a horse that's been spoken up a bit, I see, in the Clare Champion. You mentioned the Costello's. Emily there thinks that he has a big chance in the Hunters.
Yeah, well, Panda Boy, that's in the Hunter's Chase again. I think it's in the... he has been targeted by, but I think this Hunter's Chase is exceptionally strong. Hunter's Chases are, the way they've turned out in the last couple of years, they're kind of... they're for kind of horses that are on the way down, going back into amateur status, and there's a couple of really good horses in this. Wonderwall, last year's winner, is in it. And then you have, we say, Sam Curling has a horse called Wrapped Up in May, which should have a good chance. It's on the line. Yeah, Panda Boy will definitely have a good squeak, but there's just loads of them. Chemical Energy, all these horses, Statler, won before at Cheltenham Festival, so that's a very, very hot race. But I just think Desamore House, if I was to pick one for Martin Brassel, I think Desamore House in the cross country would be the best bet on the Wednesday. I think, but Martin, he's only going to have 4 or 5 runners, but he's just feared because he's just an absolutely brilliant target trainer. And he'll aim him for Cheltenham, but he'll also have, I guarantee you, the Irish national in the back of his mind and everything. He's got a plan. So Martin is, he's one of the best target trainers in the country, and he's very, very, very well known and feared. And punters love backing him. So I think, keep an eye on Panda Boy and Desamore House. They're Martin's 2 best chances.
Willie Mullins, 9 winners last year. Can he go double digits this year? I wonder, is it going to be another Close Sutton benefit?
I don't know. I think Gordon's going to be a bit stronger this year. Gordon only got off in the last race last year with Woodoo. Had to waste a whole way to the Martin Pipe. I think that Gordon is going to play a bit more hand this year. Willie probably hasn't been so dominant so far this season. The wet weather, and they had a bit of trouble with their gallop, and they're kind of taking a run. I was listening to Johnny Deneen actually in a preview there this morning, just while I was doing a few jobs, and he was saying that some of them this is their second run instead of being their third run. Do you know what I mean? So they could just go out and blow us away. We say, Jesus, why didn't we think of him? But I think he has great chances. Your Factor File in the Ryanair now, he's probably going to go off the shortest price favourite ever for a race, the Ryanair. He started his career above in Belharbour. He won the 5-year-old maiden in Belharbour. So we've always had a huge interest in him. And there's a lot of horses here from Belharbour and Quakerstown. I keep saying this that if you come to Belharbour and Quakerstown, you're probably going to see the stars of tomorrow. You go to the very first race, the Supreme, and there's a horse in there, Mighty Park, that has been absolutely hammered in the betting there for tomorrow's race. Willie Mullins, that horse was second in Quakerstown last Easter Sunday. He didn't even win. So you're talking about 10 months ago that horse ran above in Quakerstown, and he's going to go off second favourite for the Supreme tomorrow. So it just goes to show, like, when you come to these point of points, the Clare's point of points are renowned to be the best in the country. So the standard of horses going there with absolutely brilliant tracks, thanks to the Lenine and the Jerlee and all that. But it's gas to think that Mighty Park was beaten in the point of point last year, and he'll have a real good chance tomorrow in the Supreme.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And you mentioned locally there, how's the calendar looking over the next couple of months?
Sure, we're building up now for Easter Sunday, so yeah. It's a big day for us, and our committee, a very hard work committee, Paul O'Neill and Brian McCarthy, and then we've Dale, and we've loads of people there that build up. We've a family fun day. Red Mills come on as sponsors to us. We're probably the leading point in the whole country. We get sponsorship, and we like to thank all our sponsors. But as I said, we'll have loads for the family, kids, and there'll be a dog show, there'll be kids jumping zone, there'll be face painting, everything that when you bring the kids will have a great day. And then I think the adults can go and enjoy the race and have a nice coffee. And Easter Sunday in Quakerstown is always a brilliant day. It grows every single year. Belharbour this year was the biggest crowd we ever had at the point. It's amazing. Every single year we're growing, and we had people from David Minton, one of the most renowned bloodstock agents in Ireland or England over, and he thought that Belharbour was the most beautiful track he'd ever seen. So we're blessed to have 2 tracks in the burn effectively, and the racing is just so good. So I think from keep an eye out for Mighty Park and keep an eye out for Factor File, and they could be JP has bought. They both run JP's colours, but they could be flying the flag for both Bell Harbour and Quakerstown Point of Point.
Brilliant stuff, and we'll touch base closer to Easter Sunday to preview all the action there as well. And I suppose the warning to people is as well, just to give that mention, only bet what you won't be sorry after, and you'll have a good week with it as well, and plenty high quality racing. And as we say, if you're around Thursday, give Dalo a shout, tell him we sent you. Gerard, thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat with us.
No, you're welcome, Derek, and best of luck to everyone for the week. Sit back and enjoy it.
Now here on Sideline View Review on this Monday evening, we are turning our attentions to local soccer, where it was either a feast or a famine the last couple of weeks, and very much a feast of action this weekend, including all those FAI Junior Cup games that we spoke about on Friday, the Clare Cup, and indeed the Premier Division as well. So Jim Madden back with us to review what we previewed. Jim, I suppose a mixed enough bag in terms of results in the FAI Junior Cup. You might bring us through them.
Yes, indeed. Mixed result, but all of the what we would consider our top clubs have survived. Now, on Saturday, Newmarket Celtic were very unlucky in the Munster Youth semi-final up in Ennis there at the county ground. They were beaten on penalties by Lakewood from Cork, 4-2 in the penalty shootout. The game having ended 0-0 at the end of normal time and extra time. Very disappointing for the young fellas there. Then in the FAI Junior Cup first round, Avenue United travelled down to Listowel, and they were. I mean, there's no doubt Avenue have their mind made up this year. They're keen to have a good run, and we spoke about that on Friday. And they had a very convincing 6-0 win in Listowel. Newmarket Celtic were at home then to Athay United from the first division in the Desmond League, and Newmarket had a comfortable enough win by 5-0. And then in the local derby, Ennis were playing Tulla United, and Tulla obliged by 3-1 to keep their hopes of going forward in the Cup. Shannon Olympic were at home to St Brendan's Park. I gather from listening to a friend of mine that was at the match that Olympic were there and played very well, missed a few chances. However, near the end, St Brendan's Park pulled out all the stops and won by 3-1. Mount Shannon were at home to Killarney Athletic. I was up at that game, and it was a cracking game of football up there in Scariff, with Killarney eventually winning by 2-1. The game was scoreless at half time, and then early in the second half, Killarney changed their tack a bit and went a lot more direct. They got 2 goals midway through the half, but Mount Shannon kept battling, and Dara Hayes pulled the goal back with about 15 minutes to go, and then they really did work the Killarney keeper a couple of times. He had to make a couple of very good saves to keep them out. In the FAI Junior Cup round 2, Ferden Celtic won by 2-0, if I remember rightly, over Bunratty. And then in the Clare League Cup second round, Sporting Ennis Diamond were at home to Fair Green, and Sporting advanced by 2-1. While in Ennis Dons B beat Hermitage B by 3-0. And in the Clare Cup third round, Eric, Shannontown B were won by 2-0 over Tulla United B. In the Premier League then, there was a big game there for Bridge United. They were at home to Shannontown, a very important game for the Bridge if they wanted to keep in step at the top of the table, and they duly obliged by 3-1. And they are very much in the hunt for at the top of the league table. In the second division then, Cool FC were at home to Bridge United B. Cool were beaten by 4-1. In the third division, Avenue United C drew 1-1 with Bridge Celtic. In the FAI Women's Cup then, Tulla United beat Creeves from the Desmond League by 1-0 to advance there. And in the Women's League, Hermitage had a 1-0 win over Moher Celtic. Derek.
Excellent. So yeah, we'll know more about the FAI when the draws for all that other second round games are made. We'll just touch on the Premier Division there, Jim, because as you mentioned, the win for Bridge United puts them into second spot on the table. They're a point behind Avenue. Both of those have 11 games played on 28 points and 27 respectively. But then Newmarket third, they're just 2 points off the top, and Tulla 3 points off the top. But both of those have a game in hand and very, very healthy score differences as well. So when everything gets added up and everyone's on an even par in terms of games played, there's going to be way for thin margins here.
There is indeed, and there's no doubt it creates great excitement to know that our league is that tight at the top, and with 4 teams then as well, that nobody can take any chances. And if I'm right, next weekend we have 2 big games coming up in the Premier League there, and we'll talk about them on Friday, I'm sure, with Avenue at home to Newmarket and Tulla are playing Bridge. So it really is an exciting time, and hopefully the weather will stay the way it is, which means the pitches will be improving all the time, and the ground staff at all of the clubs will be able to get good work done.
Yeah, and just a quick look then at the First Division. Newmarket Celtic B, as we have come to see in recent years, they're unbeaten there, 33 points from 11 games. Moher Celtic are in second with 12 games played, 22 points. You've Shannon Hibbs, 21 points. They've 2 in hand on Moher though. And then Fern Celtic, it's an interesting one. They have actually 4 games in hand on Moher in second place, and they're 6 points off. So again, there's a bit of moving and shaking to be done there, but at the same time, the race for those promotion spots would look to be going down the wire as well.
They would indeed. There's no doubt that if you take Newmarket B out of that First Division, the other teams are quite tight together, and that's good as well, because it'll mean that over the next couple of weeks, some weeks now, the run-in will be quite competitive, and the teams will have to focus if they want to be in the Premier, or if they want to move from the second up to the first either. So it's all to play for yet, Derek, and we should have some good fun.
Absolutely, and we'll have more previews on Friday ahead of those big games as well at the weekend. But Jim, for now, thanks for that.
Thanks, Derek.
More to come, do stay tuned. Now, this Thursday, St Joseph's Spanish Point are back in action, and what a game to be back in action with an All-Ireland Senior A semi-final against Moat Community School, and a fairly accessible venue as well, just up that new road in Tuam. Lovely venue there it is for that game. Delighted to have Emer Considine, one of the coaches of the Spanish Point team, with us. Emer, I suppose this game, it seemed far away when you were celebrating that Munster title maybe, but really coming into sharp focus now.
Yeah, it did. We had a good few weeks off there, and we got a couple of challenge games in, and I suppose the girls are pretty busy too at the moment. Is trying to manage just their load with the county minors been back, a couple of girls playing county intermediates, and then the 16s and 14s. So it's just trying to keep them sharp and fresh and keep them together and tuned into Spanish Point. And it was good to have the Clare final as well against Flannans thrown in the middle of it, just as a refocus, because sometimes challenge games, are difficult to get. So everyone riled up for the game and focus on it. So the game against Flannans was a good one to have and a good stepping stone to focus us for Thursday. So yeah, it's come around quickly now in the end, but they've a lot of work done. They've a lot of training sessions done, whether it's been above 9 at the Astro, below Kilmahill, or 7:30 a.m. sessions. They're turning up for it all. So they're a fantastic group of girls.
And in between all that, there was mock exams and stuff like that as well. So it's been a fairly hectic time for them.
Yeah, there was mocks and there was midterms, so it was a bit scattered and a bit, they had to focus on other things, which was what was fine. It came right after the Munster final, so they kind of had about 2 weeks, maybe 10 days off to focus on, I suppose, mocks and just get a break, which was nice for everyone because it's been a long year. We had a lot of group games in the group stages. We had 4 group games, and then we had a quarter, semi, and a final. So we had a lot more games played than a lot of other provinces would have. So it was the girls. I wasn't with them at the very start of September. The baby was only a couple of weeks old, but they had been training from the very first week. So it's been a long old year. And look, it's easy to stay going when you're winning and easy to turn up to training when there's good competition for places. And we don't know our starting 15 yet. And the longer we see the girls, the more we're like, God, this girl could be starting, or what about this girl? And they're just pushing each other for places, which is great to see.
And it's a serious testament to ambition within the school as well, like to set out these targets, to go on it. You'd achieved a lot already, but to keep wanting to lift that bar.
Yeah, and I suppose at the start of the year, if you told us we'd be in a Munster final and not Ireland, semi-final in A, I don't think any one of us would have believed you, considering I suppose we've come up through the ranks, as everyone well knows, from C to B to A. And every year I think, we're like, oh, bit far out of our depth. And when you set goals at the start of the year, they want them to be realistic goals. And I suppose if we looked back in September and thought, is it realistic to think we could be in an A semi-final? Absolutely not. But they've overachieved and exceeded our expectations. And there's no limit to the talent and I suppose where that group of girls can go. And like I was actually just looking up at photos from the last couple of years and from where it started. And I suppose there was girls like Alicia Ryan, Avian Ryan, Kayla, the Mescal twins, Ellie, they've all been there for the last 3 years, and it's just a testament to the work that a lot of those girls have done. Obviously, we've more talented players coming through in that we've a lot of second years and third years playing for the first time this year. But it's just, it just seems to be a seamless transition for those girls that have actually broken onto the squad. And we were actually just looking at it that there's 12 of the starting team still there next year. So we'd have a massive chance of I suppose, pushing on again next year.
But in terms of managing the year and managing the load and knowing what to expect this time of the season, those runs, as you mentioned, in the C and B grades, did that help in terms of it wasn't new ground you were breaking? You kind of already had a template there to follow, just that the level was going up a little bit.
I think so, yeah, and it's the same same game plan, same structures, and I suppose the familiarity of playing with each other. As we've said before, there's 5 different clubs playing with Spanish Point, and it's, even though they don't play with each other week in, week out in clubs or in county, they all play together in school week in, week out, and it's that familiarity of what kind of a ball someone likes better, or who's going to take an extra solo and run off the shoulder this one because she's good at giving it. It's the familiarity that they've got of, I suppose, our own game plan, but of each other over the last couple of years, and they really do. When they really do have such a camaraderie and a bond as a group of girls, and they're just they're great footballers, but they have a fantastic group kind of spirit and team spirit together, and it's led by the captains in Kayla and Avian and Ray Foodie when he was presenting the cup to the girls the last day over in Clare Castle. He mentioned that they do have a great team spirit, and you can see it that the club jerseys are left behind them when they play with the school, and they just give it their all for each other.
And also, I suppose, a lot of them are playing together at county level, which shows the standard of player that you're dealing with.
Yeah, the majority of the girls that are starting now are playing county. We even have girls in the subs that are on under 16 teams and that aren't starting on our senior team. So it just does show the standard that we're at. And look, and the girls, there was a lot of girls last year who were disappointed that they didn't get starts. And we said, look, go away, go play with your clubs for the summer and improve yourselves. And a lot of girls did that. Like the likes of Emma Talty, the likes of Anya O'Keefe, they weren't playing on our starting team this year, and they're superstars for us this year because they went and they worked hard during the summer. They went back and played with their senior clubs, and they got that game time and experience, and they made themselves better players. And there's a lot of girls we'll be saying that to for next year. There's 3 spots, if not 4 or 5 spots available for next year. We had injuries this year that we didn't think were going to happen, and other girls needed to be pulled in, and those girls are now starting because of it. And it just takes one chance for a girl to grab a jersey and hold on to it. And we'll be saying the same to the girls over the summer. If this is something that you really want, either push yourself for a county squad or push yourself with your senior teams in your clubs and progress your football and make yourself a better footballer. To push yourself onto that starting team for the school.
Yeah, and given there was such a build-up and all the mention of history in 29 years and all the older players that would have achieved that Munster title, is the pressure off a small bit now in a sense that's kind of the box ticked, the goal achieved, and you can go and really express yourself now in this game?
Yeah, I suppose the pressure isn't, the girls, I don't think they're under pressure. I think it's just about checking the box off, and it's the next step. The next step in this now is the All-Ireland semi-final, and we've lost 2 All-Ireland semi-finals in 3. So this is our 3rd All-Ireland semi-final in 3 years, and I suppose it's not a pressure. It's more just this is the one now that we need to get right. We've underperformed in both our All-Ireland semi-finals, and that's been disappointing. So I think the experience of being in 2 will really help the girls as well. And the pressure isn't. I don't think the pressure's on us. Moat are massive favourites. They're All-Ireland. The juniors are in the All-Ireland final. Their juniors have been there a couple of times. They're a big school, big sports school, and they're probably thinking that they're absolute favourites. And it's nice to come in as underdogs as well into that game. We'll just keep our game plan. We'll play our own game. We'll play our own football. And I think the girls are more than talented and more than capable of beating Moat or beating any team that's in front of us. And I think we've lost 2 games in the last 3 years, and it's been the All Ireland semi-finals. So we want to kind of rectify that this year. Third time lucky for us that this is our third All Ireland semi-final, and hopefully we can do that on Thursday if we play to the best of our potential, which we haven't done in All Ireland semi-finals to date.
Yeah, hopefully that is the way it'll pan out. Emer, thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat with us, and the best of luck to all involved on Thursday. We will of course be keeping you posted on that one. Now, as we told you on Friday evening, it was another quite busy weekend on the handball front for a number of Clare competitors at national championships. Orla Constantine with us to look back on what transpired over the weekend. And safe to say, Orla, a good couple of days?
Yeah, it was a good couple of days. Saturday was definitely very, very busy and a long day. But with Clare having been in 11 All-Ireland semi-finals for the juveniles, they had got through to 8 All-Ireland finals. So they won 8 of those All-Ireland semi-finals. So that was a great achievement on the day. And I suppose to top it off at the end of a long day on Saturday, Diarmuid Nash got through his All-Ireland semi-final, defeating Peter Function in what ended up needing a tiebreak, having won the first game 21-6. He was under pressure in the second, losing it 12-21, but settled and held the nerve then with all that experience coming back to win the tiebreak 11-7. So a very long game there, and he knows that he'll play Robbie McCarthy now next weekend, and the juveniles have their finals played on Sunday. So they brought home 3 All-Ireland medals out of those 8 All-Ireland finals.
Fantastic stuff. Run us through the names then of who did what.
Yeah, so in the 8 All-Ireland semi-finals, bringing home gold medals, we had under 15 singles and doubles, so very strong there heading into next year's 16 championships. So Sinead Doyle of Tuamgraney defeated her Dublin opponent on the Sunday, having overcome Antrim on the Saturday to win her singles All-Ireland title. And Ava McInerney of Tuna, along with Elaine Littleton of Tulla, they defeated Wexford in the under-15 doubles final, needing a tiebreak there to overcome that. And also from Tuna, Orla Flanagan and Samantha Vaughan, they defeated Kilkenny in their under-14 doubles final, also needing a tiebreak. So I suppose at this stage of when All Ireland semi-finals and finals are being played, there's going to be nothing easy in those. And I suppose disappointment also felt, especially in the under 50 single, where Walter Moroney went to a tiebreak against Leitrim, only losing that tiebreak 15-13. And the under 16 doubles of Charlie Collins and Conor Littleton also went to a tie against Wexford, losing that out 11-7. And they, I suppose, maybe their All-Ireland semi-final came back to haunt them, in that they had won that tiebreak there 11-10 with a very, very long game in the semi-final where they overcame Tyrone. So maybe just ran out of steam there at the end. And there was also All-Ireland finals for Jack Cahill of Clooney Quinn. He lost out to Shane Doyle of Kilkenny. And the under-17 boys and girls doubles of Sean Garvey and Killian Cummins in the boys, and Saoirse O'Brien and Jane Hogan in the girls lost to Roscommon and Galway respectively in there. But 3 of those were underage for 17 again next year, so they're definitely on a learning curve and will be, I suppose, eager when the disappointment eases off to get going again.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, okay, they'd be disappointed not to bring home a gold medal, but getting to an All-Ireland final, I think it was an 8 out of 11 from an underage sense. That's serious achievement for the county as a whole.
It is. It's a massive achievement, and while there's always disappointment at the end of the day, those All-Ireland silver medals that all of those came home with, they've been earned along the road. Because even to get out of Clare to represent in a doubles is not easy at this stage. There's such competition for places, and everybody wants that chance to represent the county. And then you're going through a Munster championship, and you have to overcome an All-Ireland semi-final. So it was a huge achievement for those, and to see so many playing and running around in Clare jerseys on the Sunday with all the support that was up there for them was absolutely fabulous.
And we might try and get a chat with Diarmuid later on in the week, but for him to have another All-Ireland final to look forward to, he's no stranger to the big occasion, obviously. And I suppose you mentioned Funchion in the semi-final. We've heard a lot about him. Robbie McCarthy, everybody involved in handball knows what he's achieved, so this should be another rip-roaring final ahead.
Oh yeah, Diarmuid and Robbie are no strangers to one another. They've had several battles over the years, and it should be a very close and very exciting game. It's listed for 3:30 on Saturday in the handball centre after the ladies' final will have been played. And again, hopefully it won't go to a tiebreak. We'll be hoping Diarmuid might get out of there in 2, but it will be tight. There'll be nothing between them. The last time that these two met would have been just, I suppose, short of 2 years ago when Clare hosted the Nationals finals, and Diarmuid overcame Robbie at that stage. So we'll definitely be hoping for more of the game, because along with Diarmuid on Saturday, we've 2 mass finals. Jim Cleary are playing, and then we'll be hoping that we'll be adding to what would be a lovely senior title on the Sunday. We've 2 minors, as in we're in the boys and the girls final, and a junior B and a junior men's final, and the ladies junior C final will be an all Clare affair. So Clare will be very prominent in Croke Park again this weekend.
And we wish everybody involved there the best of luck. And hopefully on Friday's Sideline View we might get a chance to have a chat with Diarmuid ahead of his final. Orla, thanks as ever for that. That's all we have time for here on Sideline View review for this week. Thanks for your company on this Monday evening. The West Wind is up next. Enjoy the rest of your night.